we've had our tumbler running all night. Shut it off this morning before I went to work. And now we have our brass nice and polished and clean. I'll dump it in here and sort it real quick. I like these Lyman turbo tumblers about the best. Seems like they just last about the longest. I get maybe about 3 years out of them. Before the motors burn up. But, you know, if you let something run all night long, obviously the motors aren't going to last quite as long as, well, they last as long as they're supposed to. So we have our nice clean brass. They've gone through the sonic cleaner, they've been annealed, and then they've been resized, and then we just tumbled them to get all the burnish marks off and get all that case lube from sizing off. Now it's time to trim the case necks, chamfer, deburr, and then prime. Alright, so here we have our Frankford Arsenal case trim prep center. And I had this set up for 6.5 Creedmoor to be trimming, but we're trimming 308. So here's how this works. We're just gonna open this thing up here. There's a little O-ring there, and then this is the collar that holds the case. And this is the collar that goes against the neck, or I guess the shoulder, to keep it, you can kind of see that there, to measure how long you want each one. So we've already resized all of our cases, so all the necks ought to be the same, but this one doesn't fit in here. So we've got a little compartment here for all of our tools, all of our extra pieces. I believe this one here is the one that works. Yep, so that's going to fit right down there on our collar, or on our case neck here. And we'll screw this back in. Let me get it in here straight. And then we have to put this whole thing back together. All we're going to do is screw this down enough to where, so here the case can wobble around a little bit. There, that's pretty solid and steady. So then we have our chamfer and deburring tools and a primer pocket tool, which we don't need because we already washed our brass in the sonic cleaner, and it cleaned all the garbage out of our brass. So now to measure, let's see, the book says case trim length to 2005. Yes, I know it says 2.005, but we'll call it 2005. And then our max case length is 2015. So let's get down to 2005. So we are at, if you can see that, let's see here, 2009. So we're going to show you how this works a little bit. You can see that case coming in there, and it's not quite touching the cutter head, so I'm going to loosen this and right here on the top there's a 0, so I'm going to loosen this thing up, and we're just, well, we'll go to 10 thousandths, and that feels like it's starting to cut a little bit. Maybe we'll go a little bit more. Okay, that feels a little bit better. So we'll run this here for a second. And I'm just pushing down on it. And there you can see we're nice and shiny. And then we'll chamfer and deburr and come back and take a look at what our case length is now. And 2040 or 2004. So we need to come back up 1 thousandth. So right here, this thing runs in. Here's 15 thousandths. Here's 20 thousandths. We're going to loosen it, and we're just going to back it up just a little bit. And then this next case here, we're coming in at 2085 or 2008. Sorry. Now we've got that nice and shiny rim again. Real quick chamfer and deburr. And it came up a little bit too much, did I? Yeah. So we're at 2007, so we're still looking for 2005. So we'll go back down just a hair. The nice thing is, once you get this all set up, you don't need to mess with it again until you switch cartridges. Go back here again. And 2006. Let's see if we can get this right on the money. Alright. So this one we're coming in at 2011. Light makes it hard to see that, but 2011. And 2005. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and trim, chamfer, and deburr all of our brass. One of the things that we need to watch for as we're doing this is every now and then that walnut stuff will get stuck in here, and I just take, these are just little mechanic picks and knock that piece of walnut out of there, and now we've got a nice clean hole. Alright, moving on. Alright, so on to priming. Here we have our Frankford Arsenal priming tool, and we're going to use the large rifle primer, so you can see this one's bigger. And so we got the bigger hole here. We'll drop this in and put our spring on. And I happen to know it's this one that goes in here. We'll see. Yep, that fits. We're good. And I don't know if you can see right in here. Right here we've got a little knob to raise or lower. So there. You can see that little thing to push the primer up in. So we'll pull our, we've got our large primers here. And sometimes they just don't want to flip over right. There we go. And you gotta do you, but this is one of those things I highly recommend wearing glasses for. So there, we just primed our case, and as we just keep going, here we've got our empty case. Because just in case there is an accident, not that you necessarily have this aimed at your face, but if you do have an accident, obviously if it's aimed right at you, you're going to get a bunch of hot gas in the face, and that's no good. So this priming setup I really like. Let me show you a different one that we have. Another one that we have is this little Lee press here. Works really well. I like using this for the bigger cartridges, for the Magnum primers and stuff like that. Some stuff that might need a little bit more pressure to get in. So we've got our little piece that goes in here, and then we've got two different primer plungers, I guess. This one's for large rifle, and then this one's for small. So we just put this right on here, and then our case well, hell, I can't think of what it's called right now. Goes on. And then we just set our primer right down in here. I like this one. It gives you a real nice feel for having them really seated well. You know, with the hand tool, it doesn't give you that much feeling. This one, you can put quite a bit more pressure on if you need to. I guess some cases I like using these. Some I like using the Frankford Arsenal hand tool. You know, pick your poison, whichever you like.